Hello friends, the last class we have learned about the properties, advantages and also the reasons why we use barium sulfate as an ideal agent. Now, next. Now, how are we going to manufacture the barium sulfate? So, manufacture of barium sulfate. Okay. This barium sulfate is mainly obtained in mines. This barium sulfate is mainly obtained from mines by chemical precipitation. Okay, the process that is done for barium sulfate is chemical precipitation, and with the help of this chemical precipitation, we will remove the impurities which can be removed through the barium through chemical precipitation. Now, what happens? Actually, in the mines, we have mined barium sulfate. First, this barium sulfate is reduced to barium sulfide. It is reduced to barium sulfide. This barium sulfide is soluble. Okay. Now, this barium sulfide will now combine with sodium carbonate and it results in barium carbonate. Now remember, this barium carbonate is poisonous. Now again, this barium carbonate will combine with sulfuric acid and it gives barium sulfate and H2CO3. Now this barium sulfate is actually insoluble barium sulfate which is used in the studies, okay, in the GI contrast studies. Now we got this barium sulfate. Now this barium sulfate is in bigger particles. Now the particle size of this barium sulfate is actually reduced by processing the powder in high pounding machine. We use high speed pounding machine like a grinder and we will reduce the size of the barium sulfate particles. And actually after reduction, the average particle size ranges from 0.3 micrometers to 2 micrometers. This 0.3 micrometers particles are used along with larger particles. If these 0.3 micrometers particles are used along with larger particles, it will increase the coating of the mucosa and also it will help in suspending properties of larger particles also. These smaller particles will resist wetting. So this is one of the important things. They will not become wet. So they resist wetting. If the particles which are of size of around 12 micrometers are generally used for low viscosity and high density barium. In order to prepare low viscosity, high density barium, we use the particle size of around 12 micrometers. Now, then in the barium, we also have high density barium also, right? This high density barium will contain a mixture of different size of particles. It can contain different sized particles, and because it contains different sized particles, it can have increased viscosity also because it has different kinds of particles. Now there is increased viscosity. Now how can you reduce the viscosity? This viscosity can be reduced by adding additives, by either adding additives or and suspending agents. By either adding additives and suspending agents, we can reduce the viscosity also. Then, if you see barium sulfate, this barium sulfate is insoluble in water. As we have already said, it does not dissolve in water. So because it does not dissolve in water, it forms a suspension. this barium sulfate will form a suspension. So this concentration of suspension is mainly by weight by volume. What does this mean? This concentration is indicated in the form of weight by volume. That means if you see 100% of suspension will contain 100 grams of barium, which is the weight, suspended in 100 ml of suspension. So you will see 100 grams of barium in 100 ml of suspension, then you say it has 100 percentage. Now, right, this is weight by volume. But what are the different types of dilution? The dilutions, if you see, dilutions can be divided into three systems. We have weight by weight suspension, weight by volume suspension, volume by volume suspension. So we have weight by weight suspension, weight by volume suspension, and volume by volume suspension. So in India, these barium are mainly manufactured under the trade name microbar. This barium is nothing but it is equal to microbar. Now, first we will see each of these in detail. Okay. Now, first, weight by weight suspension. So if you see in weight by weight suspension, one important thing is that a specified weight of barium is obtained, is taken. Weight of barium, specified weight of barium sulfate is used, and we add enough water to obtain the certain total weight. What does that mean? That means 30% weight by weight suspension. 30% weight by weight suspension will weigh 30 grams of barium sulfate, and we add 70 grams of water to become equal to 100 grams. Okay. So we add 30 grams of barium sulfate, 70 grams of water, it becomes 100 grams. Actually, 1 gram is equal to 1 ml of water, so obviously we will add 70 ml of water. Okay, so this is weight by weight suspension. Similarly, we have weight by volume suspension. In weight by volume suspension, here we have one more thing. Here, what does that mean? That means that we will take a specified weight of barium sulfate is taken, and you add enough water is added, and finally you will get the total volume of the a certain total volume of suspension is taken. That means, for example, 80 grams of weight by volume suspension. In 80 grams of um, in 80% sorry in 80% of weight by volume suspension, we will have 80 grams of barium sulfate, and to this we add enough water. When we add enough water to this 80 grams of barium sulfate, it will make up to 100 ml of suspension. It will make a volume of 100 ml of suspension. 80 grams of barium sulfate, and if you add enough water, it will become 100 ml of volume of suspension. Sorry, volume of 100 ml of suspension. Now, the next thing is we have volume by volume suspension. So if you see in volume by volume suspension, this system of volume by volume suspension is also possible, but it is not recommended. So because of this, this is not recommended. And thick and thin barium terms which are used, these are also not meaningless. Now, next important thing which you have to learn is about the barium is specific gravity. So what does specific gravity mean? Specific gravity is weight of 1 liter of barium solution, if you see the weight of 1 liter of barium solution and divide it with weight of 1 liter of water, then whatever we get is specific gravity of barium sulfate. Now, right, you have got, you know about how much barium you should mix and everything. Now, with the only thing we need is mixing. Okay, because we can either use weight by volume or weight by weight suspension. The only thing is we will take barium sulfate and mix it with water. Simple. But it is not simple because barium sulfate is like a powder and you have water and you are going to mix the powdery barium sulfate into the water. Now the main important thing is this barium sulfate is insoluble in water. So when you mix it, you should make sure that it forms a stable suspension. One important thing is it should form a stable suspension on mixing. Next. Second, for this mixing, you will have to use high speed and high shear mixer should be used. High speed and high shear mixer is used. Usage of high speed and high shear mixture will ensure or increase the melting of barium sulfate particles. This will increase the melting of barium sulfate particles and so that this will mix particles evenly in the suspension. So for this even mixing, we will have to use a high speed and high shear mixture. And this will make the suspension stable. Okay, this mixing should be done at least for 15 minutes continuously in order to assure the stability before giving the suspension. Before we administer the suspension, we will have to make sure that the suspension which is produced is stable. That means the barium sulfate particles are equally distributed in the suspension. For that we use high speed and high shear mixer is used. Next. Right, this is how we mix. Second, we have already said that the barium sulfate is actually available as microbars under the brand name. This microbar is actually brand name of barium sulfate. Under the brand name of microbar, it is available. Now, this microbar is available as microbar paste, microbar suspension, and microbar NEMA. So if you see, this microbar is also available as microbar paste. We have microbar suspension. We'll also have microbar HD and microbar enema. Okay, these are commercially available microbar. So we will see each of them in detail. First, we have microbar paste. This microbar paste has 100% high viscosity. It has 100% high viscosity paste and it is available in collapsible tubes. Okay, it is available in collapsible tubes. And because of its high viscosity and it is also high density, because of its high viscosity and high density, it is used in studying, in conventional studies of pharynx and esophagus. We will use this microbar paste. So this microbar paste has actually high viscosity and high collapsible, high density. So as a result, it is used in because of its high viscosity and high density, it is used in conventional studies of pharynx and esophagus. In order to study pharynx and esophagus, we can use this microbar paste. Then second, we have microbar suspension. This microbar suspension, this is actually a suspension. So it has 95% of it has moderate density and it is also has moderate viscosity, and because of its moderate density and moderate viscosity, it is used for studying esophagus, for studying the stomach, and also for studying small intestine. So it is used for esophagus, stomach, and small intestinal studies. And this microbar suspension is manufactured, or it is actually marketed outside. It is available in the market outside in 1 liter bottle. It is available outside has 1 liter bottles. Then the third, this is the first microbar paste, second microbar suspension, third we have microbar HD. Okay, this microbar HD, if you see, this has 200% high density. It has 200% high density and it has low viscosity preparation. Okay, and this is given as a powder form. It is available as a powder form. So for this powder form, to this powder form, you will add 70 ml of water. Okay, and then you shake the tumbler. Okay, and this will result in suspension. Okay, and this suspension is also ideal for esophagus. And in this microbar HD, the suspension which is produced through shaking the 200% of high density viscosity and low density preparation available in powder form in tumbler, and by adding 70 ml of water to this tumbler and shaking the tumbler, you will get a suspension. This suspension is used in, it is actually used in double contrast studies. Barium can be used for double contrast studies, and mainly this microbar HD type can be used in double contrast studies for stomach or esophagus, and for duodenum you can use this technique. Next, the next fourth type of microbar is actually microbar which is used for enema. The microbar or barium sulfate can also be used for enema. So one important thing is the microbar enema is available has, it is available has 1 and 5 kg packs of powders are available, and these are added with water to get or to gain a, to get the desired suspension. Next, how to prepare your own barium suspension. How do you prepare your own barium suspension? This is one important thing, because always the commercial products may be available, may not be available, or some patients, some people, some doctors might prefer preparing their own barium suspension. So for this, to prepare this barium suspension, we will have to prepare 1 liter of 50% suspension. Okay, in order to prepare 1 liter of 50% suspension, we have to follow the following steps. First, take 200 ml of water or small amount of water, and then add 5 grams of carboxymethyl cellulose. This carboxymethyl cellulose is added to 200 ml of water, and after adding this, you will have to mix well. Now, followed by this, you will take 500 grams of barium sulfate powder, and then you will take 500 grams of barium powder, and a little of it is added to the water. So you have already prepared water with carboxymethyl cellulose, right? This mixture of 200 ml of water with 5 grams of carboxymethyl cellulose is prepared, this mixture. So you will add 500 grams of barium sulfate to this. You will add this mixture slowly. Okay, when you add this mixture slowly, that you have barium sulfate. To this barium sulfate, which is 500 grams, you will add water with carboxymethyl cellulose slowly. And as a result, this will result in formation of thick paste. Okay, and this addition slowly will have to prevent formation. There should be no formation of clumps in the barium. Now you have got a thick paste. Okay. Now to this thick paste, you will have to add water in such a way that the whole mixture will become 100%. To this paste, you will have to add water in such a way that the whole mixture will become 1000 ml or 1 liter, and then mix it well. Okay. Now to this 100 ml or to this 1000 ml of barium sulfate mixture, you will have to add the preservatives. You will have to add three things. You will have to add preservatives in order to preserve them for longer time. You will have to add anti-foaming agents can be added, and you can even add antacids can also be added to this mixture. Now, once you have added this, now the whole mixture which is obtained, it is mixed for 15 minutes in a mixer. You will have a high speed mixer. So in this high speed mixer, you will have to mix this mixture for 15 minutes. And mixing this mixture in 15 minutes in high speed mixture will result in good suspension. Okay, make sure it should not settle down and it should not be stored for longer time also. So this is how we prepare the barium. So in preparation of barium suspension by ourselves, first to 200 ml of water, we will add 5 grams of carboxymethyl cellulose and you will mix it well. Then you will take 50 grams of barium sulfate. Along with this mixture of water and carboxymethyl cellulose, both these are mixed in such a way it forms a thick paste. Now, there should be one thing you should keep in mind is while forming this thick paste, we should keep in mind that clumps are not formed. And now this thick paste is mixed with water, adequate amount of water in such a way that the whole mixture of this paste and water becomes 1 liter. And once it becomes 1 liter, you will have to mix it well and you can add preservatives, anti-foaming agents or antacids can be added to this mixture. Then this is mixed. Followed by this mixture is mixed. This mixture which is obtained, this is actually mixed for 15 minutes in high speed mixer and make sure it forms a good suspension. One important thing is that this suspension should not settle down and it should not be stored for longer period of time. So this is the procedure of manufacture or preparation of barium sulfate suspension. Thank you.